Hello and welcome to week 5 of the video diary. Now, I need to start off with an apology because, as you may have noticed, we're still in the living room. We haven't made it out into the big wide world just yet. Of course, the reason for this is the moment I said I'm going to go out and do some filming outside, the heavens opened, and I haven't had a free day where it's been dry since I said it. So the plan is, don't tell the weather, but hopefully, fingers crossed, Sunday I'm going to go out and do some filming. And what I'll do is I'll post a second video on the blog, on the same blog post as this video is on. So keep your eyes peeled for it. I promise you won't miss it, but it'll sort of be a little bit of a bonus extra. So hopefully that'll be okay. So to be honest, even if it's raining, I'll be out with my umbrella doing a singing in the rain impression. So, you know, you could get more than you bargained for. Now, the hat. This is a Fat Face hat. I am honestly not sponsored by Fat Face. I need to say that now. I just like the hats. I got this in the summer last year. And I have to say, actually, that I'm wearing it by Twitter demand. It's a first for social media. I put a couple of hat choices on Twitter this afternoon, and a landslide victory was the Panama hat. And it's just lovely. It reminds me of summer holidays in Cornwall, because I wore it on, went down to Cornwall last year for Bob's dad's 60th with the whole family, and I wore it for the week, and it just reminds me of being by the sea, so it's lovely. Right, on to your questions. Leah from Chicklet Reviews, hello Leah. Another great question this week. Leah wants to know if I feel any pressure about having to write so many books for my publisher. Now Avon, who is my publisher, is part of HarperCollins, when they first found me on Autonomy, they offered me a 3-book deal, which was quite amazing in itself. And I was amazed because I just thought they'd publish 1 book, not 3. And because Fairy Tale did so well, kind of a year earlier than I thought I'd have any kind of conversation about it, they offered me a second 3-book deal, which I signed in the summer last year. So I've now got to write 6 books for Avon. So I'm halfway through with It Started With a Kiss. Now, I don't necessarily feel pressure about having to write so many books because I have a lot of ideas, and thankfully I have 6 ideas, so we'll be all right. But I did put a lot of pressure on myself writing Welcome to My World, and the main reason for that was that when I first started writing that, it was when Fairy Tale was going stratospheric. I mean, we thought we'd kind of got a figure in mind that we thought it would sell. We thought if we could get to 20,000 sales, that would be amazing. But it sold 4,000 books before it even came out. No one knew who I was really, so it kind of went a bit mad, and I was just watching these sales figures go up and up and up and up and up. And instead of just really enjoying it and being really excited, I really put pressure on myself about writing the second book, because suddenly I didn't have the whole of my life to write the second book. I had 2 months to write the first draft, the same as I have with this one. And I was so worried about letting people down. I was so worried about people who'd really invested time reading Fairy Tale of New York. I didn't want them to sort of feel like I'd written a disappointing second novel. And I really psyched myself out. And for most of last year, I didn't enjoy the process because I was so worried about letting people down. Now, I've learned my lesson now, and I know that because I've got 6 books, I haven't got the pressure to have 100,000 sales for every book, which is kind of what happened with Fairy Tale. You know, it went to the Sunday Times top 10, it got nominated for an R&A award. It was just a crazy year. And to write your book in that kind of climate was really difficult. Having said that, I'm very proud of Welcome to My World. I think it's a great book. It's had brilliant reviews from Chicklet Reviews and other sites like One More Page and Dot Scribble's site as well. Had some great reviews, and it's been lovely to get that response back from readers as well. And lovely people have sent me emails telling me what they thought about it and how much they loved it, and that for me means that I've done my job, so I can stop worrying. We started with a kiss. I'm determined to enjoy it, which is part of the reason why I'm doing the videos, is to kind of remind myself, so that when I get into the times when there's a lot of work and I'm getting very stressed and I can lose sight of the fact that I'm doing this amazing thing, I can look back on these videos and say, actually, it is exciting. I am so lucky to be doing what I'm doing. So if I'm talking to myself in 7 months' time, you are so lucky to be doing what you're doing, just to help me remember that, because that's very important. So I hope that answers your question. Jen, hi Jen. Jen wants to know about my worst dating experience. Now I have a few, it has to be said. I joined a dating site about a year before I met Bob, and for about 6 to 7 weeks I had a string of the world's most crazy dates you've ever been on, and they will turn up in a book at some point because they were so mad. In fact, my friends used to actually ask me to go around and see them after I'd been on these dates because it just amused them so much. They knew there would be a story in there. I had a guy who lied about his height, and he said he was a bit taller than me, and he turned out to be not much taller than a weeble. So there was him. There was a guy who stalked me, which was a bit scary, but stalked me around a shopping centre, which is very weird. So I'd happened to mention that I went to a Starbucks in my local Westfield shopping centre, and he was kind of hiding behind a pillar looking at me. So that was quite weird. I had another guy who lied about his height as well, but he was about 6'7", and I went into the bar and he was getting taller, and everything else was kind of getting, you know, sort of shorter, and at the end he was from Southern Ireland, which I thought, oh, Irish, that'd be lovely. But at the end of every sentence that he said, you went, ah, at the end, and it was a bit like sitting there with a parrot for about an hour, you know, do you like that? Ah, do you like this? Ah. And at the end of the night, he uttered the immortal line, so Miranda, what are my chances of getting a shag this evening? Now, as you can imagine, that wasn't something that I necessarily was interested in. So I just said, slim. And so he went and caught his bus home. So that's probably the worst date that I had, to the point where I was sat in the bar with this guy for about an hour having a drink, or an hour and a half. And the guy next to me kept sort of smiling reassuringly at me because he could see I was on a really nightmare date. So that's probably the worst date. So I hope that answers your question. Rin and Sarah had both got a question about the amount of editing that I've had to do on the first draft of It Started With a Kiss. Rin wanted to know if I worried about the fact that it wasn't very edited, and Sarah wanted to know if it was if it's a very rough draft. I have to say that I kind of edit as I go along, and I don't worry so much because I know that we go through at least three or four edits before it actually hits the shelves. So I've learned to really chill about it. I think with Fairy Tale of New York, because I wrote it for fun over about 7 years, so I edited it to death, and some bits I had to rewrite to try and get that freshness back into it. Now also in my day job I'm a copywriter, so I'm used to writing sort of short punchy bits of copy for reports and advertising and things like that. So I kind of have a little internal editor that moves as well. But I've just kind of learned to relax about it because I know that I've got a year. So that's probably the answer. The best answer to the question is that I don't really worry about it. And Kim, who's been reading my book for me, she was saying it doesn't feel like a really rough draft. So I'm, you know, hopefully that's a good sign. Joanna, hi Joanna, wants to know if I'm a planner or if I enjoy just starting and seeing where my writing goes. The answer to that is I have to be a planner because of the schedule that I'm on. But if it was down to me, I like starting a story and just seeing where it ends up. So that's it really. I need to say hello to Will. Will wanted dancing jesters. I haven't got any dancing jesters. I did try and book some, but you know, short notice on a Friday night, it's not going to happen. But I hope this was sparkly and it cheered you up. That's everything for the moment, so hopefully those questions are good. If you have any more questions, if you want to know what the next hat's going to be, anything at all, you know what to do. Put a question in the box at the bottom of the screen and I'll try and answer as many as I can next time. It's not long until I go down to London, so that will either be next week or it might be the week after. We'll just have to wait and see. But ask me your questions, anything you want to know, and I'll answer them for you. Have a great week and I'll see you soon. Bye.